Bonsoir. I attended the showing of Félicité on the 8th of November, put on by the Department of Modern Languages. I did not like the movie, is the gist of what I have to say about it. I thought that a lot of the storytelling was really inconsequential to how it actually turned out. For example, when Félicité found out that her love interest was cheating on her with someone else, um, they had a bit of a confrontation, and then it's never brought up again and doesn't have any impact on how it turns out. Even the most major plot point of the entire movie, which is the taking care of Felicité's son, he just winds up fine, and it's not really with the help of the extensive amount of money that she had to raise by going to people that owed debts to her and that she could collect from, because he sort of just got better on his own. But aside from the story, I thought it was a really well executed film. The use of contrast was really notable. I thought that the fact that they juxtaposed scenes where it's very quiet, followed by really loud and bombastic. Likewise, they would go from scenes where it's so dark that you actually can't tell what's going on in the movie to ones where it's really bright and using extreme close-ups to the point that it actually makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, knowing that you can see all of their pores and things like that. So that part was very interesting. The execution in a lot of those parts was very interesting and unique. For example, the love interest, he used poetry routinely throughout the movie, and it was rarely direct dialogue where you could tell what he was talking about. It was very subjective, and so his dialogue, despite the fact that his initial introduction is just the guy who might fix the fridge, was very interesting and isn't something that would pass in a Western movie like the things that you would see in theaters here. So that was very interesting to see. I have watched another French movie called Delicatessen. It is directed by someone named Marc Caro, and it is a very unusual film. The cinematography is very unique, but not totally original by what you see today, because it's very common in horror movies. If you've seen Pandorum or Saw or any of those slasher flicks, they have a lot of darkness and orange and blue lighting, and that was pervasive throughout the entire movie. It was clearly meant to be a dark comedy, but even though I'm a fan of the genre, it was a little bit too dark for my tastes. The idea is that there's a man who hires people to come work in his butcher's shop, and as a part-time worker in a dystopian future where there's not a lot of money and meat is very expensive, and then he kills the people that apply for the job and sells them as cheap meat. But then the main character, I can't remember his name, walks in and he's actually really good at the job, so the butcher who's been killing all of these people doesn't want to kill him. And he winds up having a love interest with I think it was his daughter. I couldn't really tell the nature of their relationship, but the movie ends on a very appropriate and confusing note where the main character uses the knife that he's been using to butcher all of the meat throughout the movie to kill the butcher after finding out what he was doing to all of the people who applied for the job, and then accidentally kills himself instead, and then the movie kind of just ends. It was a very weird decision, and a lot of the movie is focused on using tempo and rhythm across scenes. Even if you just watch the trailer, it's immediately apparent from that. They'll have a beat of something like chopping meat, and then into the next scene, it's someone doing something to the same beat, and then they use that as a transition, which is pretty clever. But it got old pretty quick. Overall, I'm not sure that I would recommend this movie, but it is very interesting, and it's a really cool idea for a movie as well.